Hi everyone and welcome back to Worthing CC's YouTube channel, kindly sponsored by Nepcote Financial and Rabbit Sports Camps. These are the match highlights of our game against St James Montefiore First 11 on Saturday the 7th of June. The Worthing lineup was happy to see the return of Captain Martin Swift and Giorgio Regali to the side, but were this week without left arm spinner Harry Dunn. With heavy rain forecast for later in the day, it was not a surprise that when Worthing won the toss, they elected to field and sent St James into bat. It was quite nip and tuck in the first few overs, with the Worthing bowlers bowling some nice tight lines with not many bad balls, and the St James openers reluctant to really push the score forward. And it was in the 8th over that Worthing got their first reward of the day with a nice catch from Ollie Kay behind the wicket, with a little dab from Pullham just getting the fine edge and through to the keeper. 20 for 1 in the 8th over. .50 up here for St James in the 14th over, with a super shot down the ground by O'Neill off Nathan. Jed Bandy into the attack in the 17th over. Here a shot from O'Neill, just clearing mid-off. Slight half chance, but not taken. St James 70 for 1 in the 17th over, with a lovely 50 partnership between Tomlinson and O'Neill. And St James going pretty well here. And just when it looked like O'Neill was going to cut loose, he skies one off Nathan deep to deep extra cover, and a super catch actually by Jed in the deep there, and Worthing get the reward 75 for 2 in the 18th over. Worthing were quite happy with the first 20 overs, restricting St James to just 80 runs. However, with many wickets in hand and plenty of overs to bat, this gave licence to the St James players to now come in and really push the score forward. Opener Tomlinson here in particular hitting a couple of beautiful straight shots down the ground off Nathan. And he reached his 50 in the 25th over off 66 balls. Very well played. .32 overs gone, and St James now well into the 140s. Captain Swift brings himself on in an attempt to try and get some wickets, but it's real licence here for the St James middle order to really get after the bowling. With so many wickets in hand, they can really got a free licence to go for it. 150 up for St James in the 33rd over, and still only 3 down. Looking a bit ominous here for Worthing as they desperately try to get some wickets, but nothing they can do. The hard start that the openers and the early order gave the St James middle order here really paying dividends for Bradley and Loughton as they set about the Worthing attack, with a licence here for the last 10 overs, many wickets in hand, and the ball flying to the boundary on regular occasions. 200 up here for St James in the 39th over. Bit of a fortunate boundary there. Bit of an edge just going past the wicketkeeper, standing up and flying down to the boundary, but St James motoring. A cracking six here from Loughton off a full delivery from Jed Bandy, smashing it over deep mid-wicket for six. Bradley here bringing up his 50 in the 42nd over off just 42 balls. Wonderful strike off Harry Merritt Bland over deep square. But it's a bit of a case of one too many as he steps across his stumps here, tries to heave Harry away through square leg, misses it and plumb in front, and he's out LBW. 237 for 4 in the 42nd over. Loughton, who'd made that brilliant partnership with Bradley, bringing up his 50 in the 43rd over off just 47 balls. Excellent knock. Worthing just trying their best here now to restrict the score with just a few overs left. Try and keep it down to as minimal as possible. Captain Martin Swift bowling the final over of the innings, and a lofted drive from the overseas player Henry Chandler running in and takes an excellent diving catch low at his feet, and finally a little bit more success for Worthing. 262 for 5. The final ball of the innings bowled by Swift, and this really sums up Worthing's day. A nick past the keeper, 4 runs, and that's the end of the innings. You've got to say, really well played to St James, actually. They weathered the early storm with some good bowling. The openers from the number 3 putting in some hard work to set a platform for the middle order, who really took advantage as the wicket improved and the outfield dried. 267 looked a very strong total indeed, but Worthing won't be happy with that. The extras column there, 26 wides, a little bit worrying. Not too much success for Worthing with the ball. Best bowling from Harry Merritt Bland, 2 for 54. Giorgio Regali, 1 for 34. The other wicket takers, Nathan Schultz and Martin Swift. Worthing openers faced a really stiff target, but the new opening partnership of Bellamy and Kay set off quite nicely, actually. A couple of really good shots from Ollie Kay in the 3rd over, bringing up a couple of nice 4s. However, it wasn't long before St James struck in the 4th over. A nice delivery from Tuppen just going across Ollie Kay, and he nicks to the keeper, and Worthing are 1 down for 18. The next wicket to fall comes quite shortly after Ollie Kay, and it's Ed Middleton just chopping onto his stumps. A bit unfortunate there, but he's out 4th ball, and Worthing are 22 for 2 in the 6th over. Nick Bellamy then decided it was time to get some runs on the board and really get after this attack and try and chase this total down. Playing some lovely shots here, making room for himself and playing down the ground. However, as predicted and forecast, the rain then started to come. First rain delay here, 33 for 2 in the 8th over, and a big shower sends the players off the field. That was quite a short shower, actually, and it wasn't long before we were back on the field and playing again. Nick with a lovely shot here off Tuppen, pulling him away through mid-wicket for 4. However, the rain did come again as forecast, and that was the end. 39 for 2 in the 9th over. They're off the field and never to appear again. The sorry sight of the covers with the rain hammering down brought an abrupt end to the game. And that was that. 10 points each from an abandoned match. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time on the channel. Bye-bye.